and so I blessed to have been work for some good people that I didn't my job wasn't in jeopardy as long as I somewhat kept it between the lines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's some exits you can't take, right?
Yeah.
And, and still represent another business. But what you did, I thought was very adamant. Not adamant. It was very good. You got up there and you spoke a truth, but the problem is you spoke against the black for a living narrative.
Yeah.
And we have that problem right here in Jackson, Mississippi, is the black for a living folks. And there's a big difference. I have to tell people this all the time. Because I have a problem with black for a living doesn't mean I have a problem with black people. Because I have
Yeah.
a problem with Democrat death culture, black Democrat death culture, and that's because that's what it is here. We don't have a lot of white liberals here in Mississippi. We got a few, and they're outspoken. But our problem here is the black Democrat death culture. And because I have a problem with that, and I want black on black crime to stop, I want black on black killings in public places, especially, to stop. That somehow that it means I'm a racist. I'm like, if I was a racist, and I know my everyday listeners get tired of me explaining this, but I think it's worth mentioning. If I was a racist, I would just sit back and let it all keep going as is. I mean, I've seen there's been that old meme that's gone around for years that the Klan can just sit back and rub their hands together and say, we ain't got to do nothing. They're doing our
Yeah.
job better than we could have ever done it ourselves.
Yeah.
I would sit back and do that. But no, I jumped right in the front lines of this culture war because I love the black community. I want them to believe in themselves like I believe in them. I want to get back to where we were at with the 90s and the early 2000s with the black community and the race relations were in this country. And I'm pulling people kicking and screaming with me. Like we had to jump in the DeLorean, get up to 88 miles an hour and go back in time. But I'm going to get us back there one way or another, even if I got to fall on the sword to do it. But look, so why I reached out to you yesterday, well, one of the main reasons was and it just worked out that I saw that you had been fired for your free speech. And
Yeah.
the Democrats have been hooting and hollering about free speech and an attack on the Jimmy Kimmel's First Amendment and this, that, and the other. And we all know that that wasn't true. Jimmy Kimmel's show loses $25 million a year. They've been looking for a reason to fire him, and they found it. Now they have brought him back because it's probably cheaper just to let the contract run out than it is to have to pay him to sit on the sidelines. At least squeeze a little bit of blood from the turnip from advertisers and this, that, and the other. But a big story broke yesterday that I know put Democrats in quite the interesting hypocritical quandary. Is that Google came out, which Google, for those that don't know, owns YouTube, and the Alphabet company, I think, is the technical corporate name for Google, the Alphabet. And they admitted that the Biden regime had in fact forced them to ban people on YouTube for going against the official White House narrative on COVID, the 2020 election, and frankly, just being right wing. And now Google's come out and says they are going to unban everybody that was banned for those reasons, which I believe would just about have to be Nick Fuentes, Alex Jones, Gavin McInnes, and all the hardcore right wing heavy hitters that got banned since 2020. Donald Trump, we could go on and on and on. So it's going to be quite interesting to see how the left, it's quite a quagmire, I guess is my point.
Yeah, man. And then I also covered yesterday that Gavin Newsom, I call him Newsom, who wants to
Absolutely.
run for president, he's on the verge of signing a law that would make you have to pay, I think it's like $1 million per hate speech fine, right? And it went under the table because we've been so focused on Charlie Kirk that we didn't get to that he signed this law into place that hate speech is punishable by fines,
And of
right?
course, who determines what hate speech is? Speech they
Right.
hate becomes hate speech.
Right. And so what the ultimate hypocrisy is the left are the ultimate hypocrites, right? They are. That's why I can't take them serious. That's why I don't listen to anything they say. That's why most people don't listen to anything they say, because they accused people on the right for what they're doing, and that's classic narcissism, right? To tell to accuse people of what you yourself are doing. If you're in a bad relationship, that person, you're being abused, what they're going to make you feel like is you're the one wrong, right? You're the one. That's what this Democratic and the left are, right? They make you, Biden didn't only just do that with Google. We know he did it with X. And that was one of the reasons that Elon Musk bought X. Thank God Elon Musk, who I will always have respect for that reason, because he saved the country. Because we wouldn't have probably won the last election if he wouldn't have bought X, and we were able to have this great avenue for the right to communicate with each other. Because Biden had told X to pull down all social media accounts. We had Facebook who admitted that also was happening. They told Trump, they made Trump, they banned the sitting president of the United States. How much more censorship do you got that you banned the leading figure on the right? You banned his account, but then you're going to talk to us about a TV show that sucks, by the way. I mean, Jimmy Kimmel is not funny.
My videos, if I'm lying, I'm dying. I had a reel on. I've had 3 reels in the last week and a half, in the last 10 days since Charlie Kirk was assassinated by a trans Tifa terrorist. I've had 3 reels do over 500,000 views, and that is more viewers than Jimmy Kimmel has on that television show. And I'm not even bragging about it because I get videos all the time to do over 1,000,000. But just in the last 10, 11 days, I've had 3 videos do over 500,000, which is about, so if you add the 3 together, that's about 500,000 more viewers than he has on his nightly show that's broadcast to over 100 million homes. Yeah,
Jimmy
that's
Kimmel,
100 million people that choose not to watch Jimmy Kimmel every night.
it was and people don't understand. It really was, it was a business decision. They wanted to let him go, and they needed a reason to, but they didn't. And the reason they brought him back is because the left, they don't care. So this is what I explain to my viewers. It was like when Kamala was running for the 2024 election. The left need their own platforms and shows where they are unchallenged. Because
Yep.
just like the guy who shot Charlie Kirk, the left is not able to debate. Because they don't have strong arguments. The right has arguments. They are win they because we have common sense.
Yep.
They're not living in common sense.
Yep.
So they need shows like the Jimmy Kimmel show where they can go on and say that right wing are KKK members and white supremacists, and without being challenged. That's all that is.
Yeah, Jordan, let's take a break real quick. Come back, do one more segment with you. This is the Clay Edwards Show here live on 103.9 FM WYAB. We got the Black MAGA Preacher with us for another segment. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.